Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of Doom's drum tutorial. Okay, with this video we'll be covering common drum programming pitfalls. If you have not seen the introductory video, please go back and watch that. It'll just go over a little bit what I'm trying to accomplish with this tutorial series. Okay, just keep in mind that I'm just a human being. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I'm also not a professional. I'm sharing the things that I have learned along the way that I think can help you. And this is not the Bible, alright? It's just a guide. If you find that things work better for you, fantastic. But there are certain things that you should follow and should understand all the time while working on programming your drums, okay? So let's skip ahead. Alright. Common mistakes and pitfalls. Alright? Drums are the single most important part of a song, as far as like keeping the energy, the power, as long as with the bass too, gluing it all together so that your guitars and your vocals sound good. If you have crappy drums or no bass, your song's going to be flat and dead sounding, right? Kind of like how a computer would have played the drums, alright? So, as computer drums are already lifeless, we definitely have our work cut out for us. So we have to find a way to breathe life into that which is already lifeless, if I can sound like some sort of Hollywood movie there for a minute. So, with that, there are common things with programmed drums that make it absolutely obvious that they're programmed drums. Alright? And they are no dynamics, impossible drum lines, the machine gun effect, the cymbals, and tom rolls, or really any other roll on the drum kit when the velocity is all completely set at 127. Alright, so let's speak about dynamics. No dynamics with your drums will make your song sound absolutely flat and dead. As I said, how a computer would play it. So, what are dynamics? You should know this, but basically dynamic drum playing is when you use very sticking patterns or playing techniques that help add depth and dynamic quality to the song. So you should be like, well, what are dynamics? Well, ghost notes, opening or closing hi-hats, hi-hat barking, cross-sticking, and cymbal choking. If you don't know what any of these are, please do a YouTube search and find out what they are, and then experiment with them. Put them in your song. Try writing with it. And then you'll realize that, wow, it brings that extra added quality of realism to the song, okay? Let's go skip ahead here. Alright, impossible drum lines. This goes to all of you non-drummers and guitarists out there. Please learn drums, or at the very least learn what is impossible and possible to play. This pitfall is mostly found in high-tempo music like death and black metal. People think that insanely fast tom fills or 300 beats per minute, 30-second note double bass with triplet snare blast on top will make their songs sound just ridiculously brutal and heavy, when all you're going to do is make your song ridiculous. Alright? So as a drummer myself, there's nothing worse than getting into a song and thinking, wow, if I only had 4 arms and 3 legs, I could play this song. So basically, when you're writing your drum lines, listen to a band you really like, or go listen to it, watch a drummer on YouTube. Oh, I really like this guy, I like this fill that he does. And write the fill. That way you know for sure you have written a very realistic, impossible drum line in your song, and it will not call to the attention, to another musician or to a listener who will go, well, that sounds odd. Is that even real? Okay? Maybe you'll be able to fool the non-musical out there, but you definitely want to learn to write realistic and tasteful drum lines. Realistic and tasteful being the key words, okay? Taste is just as important as trying to add realism. You can have computer drums that are obviously computer drums, but if they're tastefully written, it really won't detract from the song so much. You just might not have much power or dynamic quality, okay? Tasteful drums are just as important. So, no impossible drum lines that'll take away from your song. The machine gun effect, okay? The machine gun effect, and not the good one where you have the awesome palm mute riffs and like the bomb blast or the syncopated kick drums. The machine gun that I'm talking about is when you have a song that you're like, okay, 280 beats per minute, let's throw some 30-second double bass on there with 30-second snare blast beats, and yeah, it's going to sound great. No, alright? Not only does it sound awful, but the machine gun effect is famous for absolutely no dynamics, no variation, and there no human element at all. Okay, it'll also be typical that the drums are mixed either way too low or way too loud. Either way, your mix will be a complete mess and it'll sound goofy. Okay. Now, I do want to make a special note about drum libraries in general, and that is that songs that are mistyped that there. Songs that are slower or mid-paced tempo will have an advantage, just because the samples will be able to breathe and you know. However, with the higher tempo songs, it'll be even more important that you pay attention to dynamics and the human element. It's very, very easy to make the machine gun effect. Okay. Now I understand you got some technical death metal. You want to have a blast beat at 260. You know, blast beat at 260, totally feasible, totally possible. But how come George Goliath can play it and it sounds realistic, but then when I put it in my drum sampler, it sounds stupid? The human element, okay? That's very important. Gotta pay attention to it. Cymbals. My God, cymbals. Cymbals. Program cymbals are oftentimes one of the worst sounding parts of the drumming library, okay? Too washy, too trashy, not enough attack, no sustain, just weak, just a lot of problems, okay? There's just no getting around it. You know, sample cymbals just don't sound good. But you can alleviate this by using the correct cymbals for the correct job. For example, in the introductory video, oh, I guess I didn't show it, never mind. Let's say you got a hi-hat pattern, right? And your hi-hat pattern is in 4/4, and you're like, well, there's different samples for each one of those hits, so you can go and there's another sample called tip, which will make it go which adds another element of realism. And a person who may have thought, I think these drums are fake, will hear the different samples and go, it sounds pretty real to me. So there are things you can do with the cymbals, and then there are some EQ settings to help them cut and things like that. But that's just one of the things about drumming libraries. You just have to accept that cymbals are not the best, right? And then lastly, tom rolls or any type of a roll, drum rolls, kick rolls, where the velocity is all 127, all right? You know, it's true that death metal, black metal, they'll be triggering their kicks, maybe even their snare drums sometime, but they still have the human element because the human actually played it. Okay, so for example, maybe they're not going to be totally exactly on time like a machine, right? Maybe they might come in 30 milliseconds early, or 30 milliseconds late. Pretty much can't hear it to the naked ear, but it's what adds a human element. So if you have a song that's rocking pretty good, pretty heavy, you do not want to throw in a tom roll where all the tom hits are at 127 velocity, because it's just going to sound ridiculous. And more often than not, you know, the toms are mixed excessively loud or excessively low in the mix, or they're very weak, they have no attack, no depth, and they just sound fake no matter what you do. Another one of those pitfalls of just the drumming library itself, okay? But, you know, when you put it into a mix, you can mask these types of things. But if you, let's go back to the main here. If you have these in your mind, and you write around that, and you pay attention to it, and you're like, oh, I need to have some more dynamic here. Maybe a more dynamic fill would be better here. You're going to add a realistic quality to your drums, and your song will sound better for it. So take the time to learn how to program drums and put the time into it, okay? Next video, part 3, we'll be talking about humanizing how to think and write like a drummer, okay? A lot of things about being a drummer are misunderstood, you know? So, humanization, thinking and writing like a drummer. That'll be the next video. Stay tuned. If you have any questions or anything like that, please leave a comment. And yeah, see you next video.